He has no opinion on the Supreme Court nominee because, as always, he says you can't judge Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but get on. Mandate you get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. I love that about you. Right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
And Ball Brian.
That is so cool.
Vinnie Tortorich has a little rebuttal to the State of the Union we gave yesterday on keto. Yeah, I was thinking about judging. It was about 15 years ago. We really started hitting hard. Like, you can't judge. You can't. And I was always like, oh, you better start fucking judging. Because if you don't judge, we're going to get a bunch of dudes in a swimming pool beating the shit out of chicks. Let's start with the judging. Got to get back to judging. Judging's kind of the guardrails of society. All right. Vinny's going to be with us in a second. I was my Truth Yeller episode with Bill Shatner came out yesterday, and somebody, I guess the Daily Wire tweeted it out, a minute, 55-second clip of it. So I decided to show it to Sonny because he's coming online now. He's getting funny. He knows Shatner, kind of getting an idea what I do, and he's starting to put together thoughts and stuff. So I showed him this clip of me and Shatner, and then I'll tell you what his comeback was.
Can I say this about joking about your age or ones?
Another joke about my age?
No, not about. I'm going to defend you, Bill Shatner,
all right.
and your age.
You'll be the first one in about 10 years.
I am. It doesn't make sense. We make fun of old people, old fart, old guy, old this, old that. We do it all the time. We can't make fun. We can't body shame anyone anymore. We can't make fun of races or religions, but we still call everyone old.
You can make fun of.
But here's the whole. It's not a sound logic plan, and I'll tell you why. Because we're all going to get old, God willing. You know what I'm saying? Like, make fun of Puerto Ricans. You'll never be a Puerto Rican.
That's a funny line. Did you just make that up?
Yes.
That's fantastic, man.
Thank you, man. Glad you were able to intervene. A little laughter before that would have been nice, but all right. The point is I said to Sonny, Sonny goes, how old is Shatner? I said, 91. He's like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah. I said, he's 91 years old. He's like,
did you go, Grandpa is?
Yeah. He goes, Clint Eastwood's 91. Now turning 92. I said, he's 91. He said, he was fit to be tied. I couldn't believe it. It is insane that he's 91 years of age.
It really is. I don't know if you'll remember, there was a lot of people there, but at my wedding, there was a very tall, sort of young-ish looking gentleman, also 90. A cousin of mine. It's just like some people hit the lottery, take care of themselves, and some don't.
Yeah, stay engaged.
Yeah.
Get the line going.
Yeah, and then jeans, and more jeans. Talking about Wranglers when you're on a horse. Yeah. Vinnie Tortorich is up. Vinnie?
I'm about to have my own March Madness right here.
You were listening to Dr. Stephen Gundry yesterday on our program?
Yeah, I woke up this morning. Well, Gina, called me last night and said, don't listen. Yeah. And, of course, I wake up this morning and my Twitter is abuzz with, you got to hear this podcast. So, I did. Mm-hmm. Adam, you were a carpenter and you still are a carpenter for all these years. Think of it this way. If someone just read a book on carpentry and then started telling you how to do your job, you would go nuts, right?
Wow.
Yeah. Well, look, to be fair to the doctor, he's, done, I don't know, I think I read over 100 heart surgeries. And
he said 20 years he's been telling people, the diet and the whatever.
Yeah. So I think you guys are, at least, I don't know. It's like we're both environmentalists and I want nuclear power and you don't, but we're both on the side of lower carbons.
Right,
like
carbons.
Right.
Can we agree to that?
Way, I'll say this. If you follow his diet, you will be way ahead of the game over the crap that people are eating. So he's correct about that. And, eating the goat cheese and all that, all good stuff.
Okay.
And eating inside of a window of 6 or 7 hours, great. This is all wonderful stuff that everyone should be doing. I don't disagree with any of that. So if people just want to follow that, that's great. The problem I start having is when, someone says, well, keto doesn't work because no one can stick with it. And then 10 minutes later, that same person says, you can do OMAD. Okay, so OMAD is okay. Doing OMAD is okay. 1 meal a day. That's what OMAD means. Mm-hmm. So on one level, you're saying no one can stick to this because it's too difficult. Hey, let me introduce you to something that's way more fucking difficult. Try that.
It's true.
That'll work. I have a problem with that. And I heard you mention that you want to fit into a prom dress to get into a race car, so you're really trying to watch your calories.
Mm-hmm.
That's good, right?
I'll agree with that. Yes.
If you want to try cassava and all this stuff, wait until after you put that race suit on and then do it, because this will not get you there.
What is cassava? And I tried it last night.
It's like a starchy vegetable?
It's another starch. Your liver does not see this stuff in any other way than it sees any other carbohydrate.
What if I was, let's say I worked for Big Cassava.
Yeah.
And I was essentially saying, Vinny, I got a big fat paycheck here. I need to sign you up. I need to get you on the board, like the cigarette companies had their own doctors. You know what I mean? And
4 to 5 doctors, right? He's the 5th.
Yeah, that was a Dentine or sugarless gum. But okay, and I need you to kind of make a case for a cassava pasta versus just a pasta as you would get it at the Olive Garden. Yeah. I got a big check.
That's easily done if someone wants to lie, but you got to realize you're talking to a guy who turns down big money for ads on his popular podcast.
In Vinnie Tortorich,
trying to get me to.
All right, so Vinny, you could know you could make hold on. You could make no distinction whatsoever between a pot of cassava noodles and one of that you'd get at the Olive Garden.
Vis-a-vis your liver.
Just in anything.
Okay.
Thank you, Brian. But
yes.
Here's why. If I went to Dr. Drew and said, Dr. Drew, I'm an alcoholic. If Dr. Drew says, okay, Vin, just stay off of the hard liquor, you can have beer and wine, you'll be okay. Doesn't that sound ridiculous to you?
Well, yes, but kind of yes and no, in that if you said, you're drinking scotch every night, but you could have a couple of glasses of wine with dinner or something, I would look at that as something, an alternative that was a little closer to where I was trying to get you.
Which is funny because Vinny would rather you have the scotch than the wine.
Adam, because an alcoholic cannot control that. Drew will tell you that. Once you start down the beer, before you know it, you're back to the hard stuff again.
No, I know, but we're mixing our metaphors in the sense that I'm not going to have a cassava spaghetti and then go to the Olive Garden. It would just be that. So we just stay with that.
Let me ask you this: if you have the cassava, look, you might not be addicted to carbs, but I talked to. This is what I was saying about being the carpenter early on. I've been doing this for 38 years, and I talk to people daily who are 350, 400, 500 and 600 pound people. These people are addicted to carbohydrates, right? And they can't just start eating cassava pizza and cassava this and cassava that, because they will quickly go right back to what they.
You're still not answering, but you're not answering my question.
Let me jump in here. I would say
I work for Big Cassava.
If anything, cassava's gluten-free and one isn't. So if you're gluten intolerant, you'd probably want to go to cassava, but that's not going to change the carb rate. Is that right, Vinny?
That is correct. Your liver will see it exactly the same.
So there is zero difference between going to the Olive Garden and eating cassava.
Pretty much.
Well, that's what I'm looking for, the pretty much part. I'm not trying to corner you. I'm trying to go, is there alternatives that are better than what the Olive Garden is.
And he also mentioned sorghum. I don't know anything about that, but maybe throw that one in too.
I don't know much about sorghum, so I can't speak to it. I should have looked it up before, and I just didn't write that note down. So,
all right.
I don't know anything about that.
He feels just so exhausted by us.
So defeated. No, I do this with Vinny every single time where he goes, just don't do it. Mm-hmm. It'll lead to this or whatever. But that's not the question I'm asking. I'm just asking cassava-related questions because...
well, if you look up cassava right now, what you'll find out is that it's a carbohydrate. And you see, when Vinny puts out a thing that says no sugars, no grains, and technically cassava is not a grain, I think it's a root, then people go, well, that's not a grain, so I can have it. Well, you know what? A potato is not exactly sugar, but the way it shows up in your liver is it's even worse than sugar.
What is
right?
what is the, just as a guy who wants the pasta meal on occasion, what is the substitute for pasta that, and I know we got the shaved zucchini doodles.
Zoodles.
What is something that, is there any product out there that is Vinny approved that in any way could be called a substitute for pasta?
The substitute for pasta is pasta. Enjoy it and then move on.
So there is nothing on a shelf.
Have an occasional pasta.
Yeah.
That ain't the problem. You're asking a WAP, what does he think about pasta?
Yeah. Well, I'm saying there is pizza, mm-hmm. and then there's cauliflower pizza. The cauliflower pizza is somewhat bullshit, mm-hmm. but if you're going to eat one pizza a week, and I'm advising you, I would say do the cauliflower pizza.
It's a good vehicle for the toppings and the cheese.
And by the way, it's hard. You would have to do the one that you make at home. That's painstaking to make. The ones that they sell at the store are not good because they're saying cauliflower pizza, but when you add all the ingredients that they're putting in there, well, one of the ingredients happens to be cassava, along with 3 or 4 other grains that, if you read the ingredients, that's why last week when I was on the show, Chris says, hey, look at the ingredients in this. I went, obviously that's refrigerated because there's no bad stuff in that.
Yeah, and I did try that, and it was pretty good. But I still circle back to it's marginally better than going down to the local pizza joint.
If I wanted pizza, I would go find the best pizza in LA.
Okay,
yeah,
all right. But Vinny, we circle this all the time. All right, I'm still. All right, I'm done.
Like you said, it's probably marginally better, but at that point, you're not getting any increase. So why not just go for the pizza? You know what I mean? If you're getting a marginal improvement.
Well, I don't see that. This is what I'm always trying to drill down on. Is it 5% better or is it 50% better? I don't know if it's marginal. It might be.
Okay. Well,
it might be quite a bit better.
Thank you for putting it that way. It's 5 or 10% better, which to your liver makes no difference.
Oh, that is it. So going down to a Domino's or getting a cauliflower pizza, it's 5 or 10% better.
As an Italian, if you go to a Domino's, we can't be.
All right. Well, we're trying to not weave heritage into this. Just it's 5 or 10% better.
Yes, it's not that. It's marginally better, and because it's marginally better, I would go for the good stuff.
No, I completely understand the edict. I understand what you're saying. I'm just trying to say if there's something, if it's 50% better or even 25% better, now we can have a conversation is what I'm saying. Like
No, we can't. You see, I go back to the alcoholic thing. Your liver still sees a rush of the stuff. Now, if you don't have a weight problem and you don't have a carb addiction problem, it's okay. Right? But I would still just say, why not have what you really want? People spend more time eating around what they actually want to eat when they should just eat what they want to eat at that time.
Okay. Chris has an alternative?
Yeah, I've messed with the hearts of palm pasta at Trader Joe's. I don't know if
me too.
You've tried that, Adam. I like that a lot better than zucchini.
You got to drench it, really drench it in the sauce you're using.
It's just a sauce vessel, but I think it's good. The texture's good. 4 grams of carbs per serving.
Okay.
It's zoodle hearts of palm.
Yeah.
Is that net carbs, Chris, or is that because they monkey around with net carbs?
That's
nowadays,
total carbs,
which is BS.
Total carbs.
I also have the comparison here between cassava flour and wheat flour, which is why I was a little confused yesterday, and maybe I need to get the book to understand it. But a cup of regular wheat flour is 95.4 grams of carbs, and a cup of cassava flour is 110 grams of carbs. 5 grams of fiber in cassava, 3.5 grams of fiber in wheat, and more sugar in the cassava than the wheat. So it was confusing to me.
What about people? Is there such a thing as people addicted to carbs?
Absolutely. I was talking about this with Dr. Drew on his show not long ago when I was saying, they've shown where sugar, meaning all carbs, will light your brain up the same way as cocaine or heroin. And Drew goes, well, there is a difference. I said, yes, but we market one of those to children at birthday parties. We tell people that one is okay. The other problem is I always use this example. If you have a family bag of Doritos and you're sitting down to watch football, you might tell yourself you're going to have a couple, but by halftime, you've cleaned that whole bag out and you're looking for another bag. The reason being is once you start eating carbs, your brain thinks you're starving and it wants more and more and more. Now, it just so happens that a family bag of Doritos has 17 ounces of corn in there. That's 1 ounce more than a pound. If you went out and had a tomahawk steak and you ate a pound of beef, if they brought another tomahawk steak out right when you finish that, when you would tell them to pack it up, you need to bring it home. On one, you're sated. On the other, you're licking the Mylar to get more flavor out.
Yeah, no, it's very true. Like, when is the last time, when I go out for steak now, I have trouble finishing the steak. I usually just bring it home. Like,
especially with a big old ribeye, 16 ounce. Like, I'll do the rest later. And I also will say this, definitely, it's the carbs are the same as breakfast, which is the same as dessert, which is if you get off it for about 3 days, whatever that pain is, it goes away fast.
Yeah.
But when you get on it, you get right back on it. Breakfast, either foregoing breakfast or eating the carbs or having the slice of pie after dinner. You just get away from it for a little bit of time, and whatever that sense of urgency was with it, it goes fast.
It's a sticky slope.
Yes. Vinny, what else? Let's see. Let me give you a plug, I should say, because I got to do my March Madness. VinnieTortorich.com, Beyond the Impossible, Beyond Impossible, available for rent or purchase on Amazon. You should know that our own Mike Dawson just ate lunch.
Yeah, I did.
What'd you have, Mike?
Well, I had a coupon for 2 Western bacon cheeseburgers, but because I'm conscious about the carb thing,
right,
I took one of those burgers. I made a double out of it.
Half the bun.
Yeah. Threw away 2 buns.
50% less bun.
That's right.
Hero.
Smart,
you know what?
Smart eating.
That's moving in the right direction. This is a man who used to drink, fruit juice and thinking it was healthy. And
Green Machine.
Vinny,
this is good.
Vinny, that was all vegetables that tasted like pineapple.
So good.
You know how sometimes when you bite into a raw stalk of cauliflower or broccoli and it tastes just like pineapple?
It's a little too sweet and juicy.
That's what happened there. Is there, Vinny, last question.
Sure.
Is there a smoothie that you could recommend that, because everyone does it. They go, I take a banana and then I take the berries and I take some honey and I dump the honey in. And then I take strawberry yogurt. Yep. It's like, okay, we're not there. Is there some smoothie that you would approve of that doesn't taste like ass?
Yeah, take a bunch of high-fat yogurt, put it in a blender, throw a few berries in there, whip it up, and drink it down.
That's what I do, except I throw in spinach and chia seeds.
Strawberries are shockingly low in carbs relatively.
Because they're not that sweet.
Yeah, berries.
I'm telling you got to try just straight broccoli and pineapple juice. It tastes like pineapple juice.
Except for the pineapple juice.
It's pineapple juice. What are you going to do?
We're on the same page.
What are you going to do? You want to just drink broccoli and water? Do it. It's pineapple juice.
Well, I think where we always trip up on this one, Dawson, is I go, that's got a lot of sugar, and then you go natural sugar.
I don't care about it's pineapple juice. It's just for flavor.
Yeah. See what we have to contend with around here, Vinny?
Yeah. And Mike and I are friends. That's the crazy part. I love that guy.
All right. Thank you for weighing in. Oh, one last question. The cashew.
Oh, he is not a fan, Dr.
Stephen,
Gundry.
you should...
Well, yeah, he's correct about cashews are carby, but he mentioned pistachio, which is my favorite nut, which is very carby, and he said you can have that one. He talks a lot about lectins. He wrote a whole book on lectins a while back. The strange thing about lectins is that, that protein is in so many foods that if you tried to go away from all lectins, good luck. But hey, it's okay. The good doctor has a $60 bottle of, something you can buy that shields you against lectins. I don't know if you guys know that, but you can go and get that product.
It's a carbohydrate binding protein, apparently. That's what a lectin is.
Yeah, and and by the way, there's so much conflicting stuff on whether lectins are good or bad for you. But I don't eat. I love cashews, but I don't eat them because of them being so high in carbohydrates. Almonds are good. He mentioned walnuts; those are good.
Macadamia nuts
are good. Macadamia nuts are good. Walnuts, I think I mentioned that. Those are all good. You want to stay away from the real carby nuts like pistachios and cashews.
Didn't he say pistachios were the best?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I said, Dawson. And mix it with some juice, some pineapple juice.
Vinny's got his blunderbuss out.
No, Vinny,
everyone's getting
Vinny
cracked.
just said pistachios are bad. He stays away from them.
Yeah,
Gundry said they're the best nut you can eat.
He said there were carby, Gundry did, but there was other elements of them that aided you. But look, let's not quibble over cashews. I know it's been said many times. Well, I mean, the point is, how many pistachios do you really eat? I guess is the question.
It's the famous line.
I just stay away from them because it would be like a bag of Doritos to me. I would just eat them until they were all done.
It is very true that pistachios are harder to stop eating.
Yeah.
And that may be the carb part.
It's the habitual part. And
I will eat those things like potato chips.
It's my favorite line from the one Weight Watchers meeting I went to when they said, apples are now 3 points or whatever as opposed to 0 points. And somebody raised their hand and goes, but, they're 0 points now. Have as many fruits as you want. Fresh fruits. And someone raised their hand and says, yeah, but that has a lot of sugar in it. Isn't that going to hurt me? And the woman, the team leader said, everybody get up and raise your hand if you got fat from eating too many apples.
All right, Vinny, last thought.
Look, I tell it, if you eat the way Dr. Gundry tells you to eat, people would be a lot healthier. He's got a lot of things right, especially when he talked about putting goat cheese on your pasta. When you add that kind of fat and protein to a pasta, it's better than just souping it up with more sugar. I agree with all that, and the guys out there trying to help people. But there were things when you say, well, keto doesn't work. That's not true. I have people who were 600 pounds who are now 200 pounds. They've lost 400 pounds. I've been out there in the world doing this for 38 years. I'm not in the lab. I'm working with people. I know what works. I know what doesn't work. And I know all the tricks. And that's where some of these, lab guys and these guys that were operating on people, Yeah, you could go in the lab and say this doctor came up with this and that doctor came up with that. But the bottom line is, I've been on the ground for 38 years doing this, and I see what works and what goes and what doesn't go.
All right,
so
go, Vinny. Go finish your canoe. I got it. Which I, by the way, would adapt to as a universal saying to anyone you want to dismiss, whether they're working on a canoe or not.
Go sand your canoe.
Go sand your canoe. I'm fucking busy here. All right, Vinny. Thanks, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.
Your new sign-off line.
That's good.
Oh, sand your
for Gina
canoe.
Grad, Bob Bryan sand.
It's a better, I said good day. It's more updated.
Yeah.
Oh, getting the bell.
Getting the bell.
All right.
Getting into position. Let's get started. March Madness.
It's time for another round of the big rants of March Madness. Yesterday in first round action, backup beepers took out the trash and eliminated Click It or Ticket. Food stamps and school lunches were expelled from the tournament by teachers' unions. And Lizzo blew her flute and blew out Dr. Sanjay Gupta. Today, we continue with the first round fury, starting in the California Conference with LA County Health Director Barbara Ferrer versus Governor Gavin Newsom.
This is Los Angeles. We're the biggest city in the world. We're the trendsetters. We're the money makers. And we got someone who decided on COVID policy who reminds me a lot of one of my mom's weird friends when I was in junior high. And she's going to set policy. But here's the thing. What policies does she set? Well, no going to the beach, no going to the amusement parks, no going to the restaurants, no going to the bars, no going to the gyms. All shit she doesn't want to do. We now, from this day forward, must pick leaders who would actually like to do the thing they're closing down. Her fucking scraggly ass, no beach? Great news, because I fucking bleach. I don't tan, I bleach when I go outside. Of course no one wants to see your scrawny ass in a fucking two-piece. I can't picture you playing beach volleyball or hacky sack or on a longboard. You don't want to go any of these places. We need someone who misses the amusement park, misses the beach, and misses a good fucking steak and a martini to set policy. Gavin Newsom. I'm heading back to Laguna Seca in about 3 weeks to do a race. And I was just thinking about, remember 10 minutes ago when we canceled my big race at Laguna Seca? No walking around outside. No walking around in the sunshine with the wind blowing. No, that is far, far too dangerous. But it's fine to go to the French Laundry and have $3,800 worth of fucking imported wine, you goddamn hypocrite. Listen, first off, we voted this guy in based on him looking cute. This is essentially taking the governorship of California and turning it into a fucking dog show. We've essentially went, I like that poodle's hair. And he came in here. Oh, by the way, Gavin, how's it going with shutting down the predatory check cashing places? I don't hear any talk out of you anymore. And then he came in here and started giving me this hard knock story about I come from a single mom. Yeah, your mom's divorced, but your dad's a fucking lead counsel for Getty Oil. So cry me a fucking river.
I mean... Classic. Hit all the notes on the Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
I enjoyed comparing him to a poodle. That was fun. That was inspired.
Yeah, that was new.
However, the Barbara Ferrer, he painted a picture of her that I've never seen before. Mom's friend.
Yeah.
Doesn't go to the beach.
Yeah.
Bleaches herself.
Instead of tans.
It was inspired.
Yeah, I agree. I love the idea of the governorship being a dog show winner. But again, with you, Ferrer only closing shit that she doesn't do anyway, inspired.
Ferrer goes
to Ferrer.
Next up, from the big government conference, we'll see if the minimum wage will cause maximum rage when it goes up against Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
The minimum wage. I was thinking about this. What don't I like so much about the minimum wage? Like, why do I really hate it? First off,
There is a minimum wage. It's in the ether. It's in the air. It's between two human beings. I want my fucking lawn mowed. You don't want to mow my lawn. How much do I have to fucking pay you to mow my lawn? It's set. That's it. But really what I start thinking about it today and what I drilled down on is it interrupts the process in poor people who need to get more familiar with that process. They need agency. They need to be advocates for themselves. They don't need the fucking government to just go, you get $14.99 an hour. That's it. You need to go in and go, I do this job a little better than the guy next to me. I want a few more fucking ducats. These people get onto this stuff. It's like fucking methadone, and they can't get off it. And it's called the minimum wage. You shall get the least amount society sees you do to do your job. And then there's the argument, well, I was a mother of three, single, supposed to. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to be fucking snot-nosed 16 in high school, get minimum wage. What's the next one?
Trudeau.
Justin Trudeau. Oh, I close my eyes and I hear that big coiffed pussy talking about, and the LGBT, IQ, BFD community. So fucking worried about that, but hates truckers. That's all you need to know about Trudeau. Loves the LGBT, BFD group, but fucking hates truckers and calls them Nazis and calls them racist because they're pushing up against your fucking totalitarian regime. You, my friends, are creating Cuba in the North, and he's basically Gavin Newsom of the North. Oh, look at that guy's hair. I'll vote for him. Oh, he's so cute. Oh, I'd like to have a beer with him or suck his dick while he's drinking a beer. That's not a guy you want making fucking policy. I don't know what the fuck happened to Cuba, but what the fuck happened to Canada? Sorry with the alliteration.
Right there.
But get out there and fucking fix it. I miss maple syrup. I miss hockey. I miss guys shoveling snow. And I miss Tim Hortons. Now fucking fix it, douche.
Oh, boy.
First of all, I am here for the hair slander.
Yes.
I'm here for it
I'm
all.
sure. I'm sure of it. Thank you, by the way. I want to thank Adam for not saying that big coiffed pussy is a new name for GSV.
It's understood.
But I do like the Cuba of the North. Haven't heard that before. However, I think there are some sneaky good points for the minimum wage that, people go, oh, he just hates poor people. Quite the opposite if you listen to the rant.
Yeah, I too think it's pretty close. I'm gonna give my vote to the newcomer because I like rebranding Canada as Cuba of the North, rebranding Trudeau as Newsom of the North. I was inspired. I'm gonna go with that one.
Ryan,
close matchup.
You've convinced me. Let's go Trudeau.
All right.
And in our final pop culture conference first round matchup, it's Chris Harrison from The Bachelor versus Pete Davidson.
Oh, Chris Harrison. What a pussy. You were a fucking victim and you didn't fucking stand up for yourself. First off, antebellum party. You do know how many women have taken that photograph. Everyone who was in a sorority from 1931 to 8 minutes ago has a photograph of them wearing a fucking gown out on some fucking lawn in front of a plantation. But ABC, you fucking cowards, you went in on this guy he wasn't in the photo. He didn't take the photo. He just commented on the person who's on The Bachelor trying to get hooked up with a black dude. I am entering a competition, and if I win, I get to suck off a black dude. So I'm not sure quite how racist she is, but perhaps she is. But Chris, you know what you should have done? You should have fucking grabbed a microphone and started bloviating. Instead, you took the check. You took the money, you coward. You could have fucking taken a stand, but you took the rose.
Wow.
Powerful. Pete Davidson, Jesus Christ. One day, sociologists and anthropologists will be studying the rise of Pete Davidson. How does this spindly-ass guy who treats his fucking body like it's an overpass and a bridge in a bad fucking area of town with his branding and his random graffiti all over his fucking tats, all over his goddamn body. We're going to study this guy. How does the least funny guy on SNL since Pauly Shore... What
Pauly Shore wasn't a cast member of SNL? Okay, I'm revising this. Now just the least funny guy who's ever been on the stage at SNL. How does he fucking bag all this world-class punani? Yes, somebody said you had a big dick. I don't even know if that's a thing. We got to measure that shit. We'll use my water displacement test. You're not funny. You're too fucking skinny for tattoos. And you're now the least funny cast member of SNL.
I feel like Adam needs a cot after this.
Yeah.
I mean, just exhausting work.
Gina, rub him down.
Okay, I'll get right on that. Where's your glove from Christmas?
I like the way he recovered mid-rant from the Pauly Shore debacle.
Yeah.
He picked it right up like a pro.
He did.
Yeah, bro.
Chris Harrison, I wasn't sure where that was going to go because I thought, we're sort of pro, we're pro Chris Harrison. But then I thought, wait a second.
What?
Yeah, he did take the rose. He really fucked up.
I was expecting that to be about the dismissal of Chris Harrison,
Right.
not about Chris Harrison himself.
That's
being
what I'm
a pussy.
saying. Exactly. So I like the way he turned that, but I can always listen to a rant about Pete Davidson.
We're gonna go to the booth on this one. I'm all tied up.
What do you guys think? They're conferring.
The judges say Chris Harrison moves
and an
on.
upset.
Okay, moving right along.
Tune in tomorrow as we finalize the first round action with a fracas of 4 frustrations in March Madness.
All right, let's see. Tony Hawk's coming in soon. Chris is over the moon. He's a big Tony Hawk fan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at those
Picture
little
these two
young
Chris.
bucks.
What?
cool guy.
Where did the love of Tony Hawk come from?
I grew up skateboarding, so he's just always been obviously in the spotlight of skateboarding, X Games, and then the video game. And
We gotta have a skate off in the parking lot.
Sure, I think so.
I'll do it. He has a broken leg, so I'll do it.
Nice.
Grab a half pipe.
Opportunistic.
How does Chris look exactly the same but so different?
It's a good point.
Yeah, I met him at the Standard in L.A. I waited for him to get up from his lunch. I was so nervous, and the only thing I could remember to tell him was just, "Hey, I loved you when you were on The Simpsons." And he had like one line 3 years prior to that.
Okay, Fondelier.
Yeah, it was so embarrassing.
But through the glass, are we looking at evil Chris?
Kinda.
Yeah.
The
That's
bearded
good Chris in the picture.
Clearly.
That was definitely good, Chris.
Did you like skateboarding because you like skateboarding or because it made you taller?
Give him a good 3 inches.
Or you go by so fast they can't tell.
A little bit of column A and column B, I guess.
All right. Well, we got news coming up. First, I'll tell you about Master Spas considering a backyard makeover. Wish you had room for a pool. Well, get a Michael Phelps swim spa by Master Spa. Combines the benefits of a pool with the therapy of a hot tub. Has a water current, so you can swim against it, do aquatic exercises, and have fun with the kids. Comes in a variety of sizes to complement almost any yard, even a small backyard. Since it's heated, you can use it year-round in any climate. 100% made in the USA by Master Spas, the world's largest swim spa manufacturer. You will love your Michael Phelps swim spa by Master Spas. So treat yourself, right, Dawson?
Go to masterspas.com. Put in the promo code Adam to save $1,000 on a Michael Phelps swim spa or $500 on a Master Spas hot tub. That's masterspas.com. Promo code Adam.
All right. I'm still obsessed with a cauliflower pizza that can be purchased.
Well, Chris found one, right?
He found the doilies.
Yeah.
And the doilies are good.
Like the pocket size.
I did the doily. The doily is the size of the coaster that you see in front.
Yes.
It's about, it's a little bigger. It's about 4.5 inches across.
Can I make an argument for the doily? Why I'm pro doily? Because the big pizzas, because I make them from scratch, they're already soft, because it's not dough. The closer you get away from the ridge, the softer and soggier it is. So a smaller circumference will keep it a little bit crispier.
That's exactly right.
Trader Joe's has a medium-sized doily, which is about 9 inches across, and then they have the 4-incher. But take that, slather on the avocado mayonnaise and the mustard, and then I did this last weekend. I got the doilies, put the avocado mayonnaise, which pretty much just tastes like mayonnaise.
I've never had that.
It's good.
Okay.
Well, the mayonnaise, I don't know. We don't really talk about, but that's got a bunch of oil in it that we don't want.
A lot of shelf-sustainable ingredients.
Yeah, so slather on the avocado mayonnaise, which doesn't taste like avocado. It's
the avocado oil. It tastes the same.
It's that fat replacement.
Yeah, tastes like mayonnaise. And then put on some mustard, and then put on some smoked turkey and some prosciutto.
Oh boy!
Oh yeah. And then on top of that, I think I put a tomato. Then I put a slice of Swiss cheese. Then I put tomato and onion, and I toasted actually the doily before that, and then I still popped the whole thing in the microwave, melted cheese a little bit. Smart. Delectable and satisfying.
Delish.
All right, we'll take a break. Come back to the news right after this. I got more pizza talk.
Oh boy!
I don't know what you know, Gina. But
tell me.
As you guys know, I love thin crust pizza.
Indeed.
And thick crust is fine, but I like thin crust.
It's not fine.
And I like, if I was, calorically, you're probably better off with the thin than you are the thick.
The Sicilian square.
Less of the stuff, less of the bad stuff.
Right.
So to me, that's kind of the cauliflower pizza versus the regular pizza, which is, it might just be a little less of the stuff, provided you don't mind it.
Right.
And the problem with cauliflower pizza is I like it, and the reason I like it is because it's not that good.
Right.
All right.
For you.
But is there, Chris, scour the internet, what is the lowest carb cauliflower pizza that's out there? And then what is regular pizza at?
Also, I'd be curious if you guys have tried, because I haven't, the sausage crust that you talked about.
I haven't either, but that sounds
we
like
have
a
had
winner.
that, Adam.
we have
in
that.
Chicago, we had a sausage crust.
Oh, we did. Yeah, that's right.
I found it delightful.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it being bad.
Yeah, can't go wrong.
Well, we have some breaking-ish news about who may have shot Big Papi and why. Finally coming to light. The 2019...
In the Dominican?
Yes. The 2019 shooting of David Ortiz in the Dominican Republic was likely a hit planned by a jealous drug kingpin, according to a private investigator hired by David Ortiz. Ortiz was at a bar in Santo Domingo when a gunman on a motorcycle opened fire, shot him in the back, severely wounding him. At the time, local authorities said he was not the intended target and the shots were meant for someone else or someone he was with. But a private investigator says Dominican drug trafficker Cesar Peralta orchestrated the assassination and put out a bounty on Ortiz because he was jealous of his success. Peralta is currently sitting in a Puerto Rican jail on unrelated charges, and his lawyer says he had nothing to do with Papi's shooting.
All right. I was listening to the news when I was driving home yesterday, and I heard a news story about a guy who's much worse than the guy who swung by on the moped and shot Big Papi.
Do tell.
And Chris, you can look for it. It happened in L.A. It happened like right in the middle of L.A., like in a decent part of town. As all I heard was the KLSX, whatever, 97, like the news channel version of it.
KNX. FM.
Yeah, it sounds like KNX.
Yeah.
But it's 97.1.
But they now run it on FM.
Oh, okay. There was a guy, and he was out on the balcony of an apartment, and he was beating a dog. And two neighbors who were like walking by stopped and went, "Hey, stop beating that dog."
As one would.
And he shot them.
What?
Wow.
How bad a person do you have to
Holy
be?
crap.
That's not a hit on Big Papi. Hey, you're doing that, you need some money or something, And
That's one-on-one, and you have a
that's
reason.
you. It's like, I'm just going to go out to the balcony and beat on this animal for a while. And then somebody took umbrage with it.
How dare you interrupt my beating of my dog?
Somebody's probably walking their dog and went, "Hey, that's not a good example for the neighborhood." And he went, "Oh, okay." And he took his gun out and they started shooting at him.
Yeah, so LAPD is seeking the public
These
help.
are, by the way, the way the law works is, well, the guy he shot still alive, and
So what?
This wasn't laying wait or premeditated. I want this person put down.
way worse.
This is way
The
worse.
you wandering around society. God forbid you fucking take the guy's parking space at a Costco or something.
I got to think about that next time.
That's terrifying.
What is that story?
Okay, so LAPD is seeking the public's help in identifying a man responsible for shooting at witnesses while beating a dog.
Oh, my God.
Around 7:30 p.m. on Monday, 2 people were walking past the apartment complex. They saw the man on an apartment balcony physically beating a dog. The witnesses yelled at the man to let go of the dog. He argued back, then produced an unknown type firearm and shot at the witnesses, striking one. The victim who was shot was taken to a local hospital, is listed in stable condition. The suspect was seen running away from the crime scene, according to LAPD. A perimeter was established, but the man was not found.
But how? Of course, we know who he is. Who lives in that apartment?
He is not believed to live at the apartment complex, but is possibly the boyfriend of a local resident.
Oh, boy.
I'd like her fucking detained, and I'd go full waterboard on her ass. I need names.
Yeah.
This is the scariest man on the planet is walking around with a gun.
Definitely not a Jew.
But where was this? Like, it was in a decent part of Los Angeles.
It was 700 North La Brea Avenue.
Where is? I don't know.
I don't know where that
Like
is.
Miracle Mile.
Well, where's Big Street?
Well, you got to figure out. Yeah, this feels a little closer to the 10.
Yeah.
Like
Down by the Baha'i Temple. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
All right. Now,
like La Brea and Melrose.
there's a lot.
Oh.
Well, that's what I heard. I heard it was by La Brea and Melrose.
Oh, that's kind of a nice part of town.
For anyone listening, La Brea and Melrose is real nice.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a house in that neighborhood that's under $2.5 million.
No.
It's right by Mozza.
Yeah. So
Speaking of pizza.
there you go, everybody.
Jesus.
And also, as I was thinking about it, there's more and more stories about people beating on dogs and beating on old women and beating on people and people getting involved and getting shot or not getting involved. Well, you want to talk about you want to get the public at large to keep walking. You just need a few of these stories.
That's right.
I mean, how deep are we? You can now you can get involved. You can either get shot or it could be a possible hate crime on you at some point, depending on the ethnicity of everybody. And there's never been a time where we're convincing the public to just put your fucking head down
Keep
and
walking.
just keep walking.
Yep.
And there's never been a time when the cops have done less. So it's a good combination between cops not doing anything and no citizens arrest. All right, sorry.
Feel great. Nicolas Cage, he has made an admission which might clear some things up for some fans. He admits he did do a ton of those video-on-demand movies in the last few years because he had some big debts to pay off.
What?
Yeah, following the movies like Sorcerer's Apprentice and Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, Nick got into big financial trouble, apparently blowing his $150 million fortune and owing the IRS $6.5 million. So he took all the roles that he could. In an interview with GQ magazine, he said, "I've got all these creditors in the IRS and I'm spending $20,000 a month trying to keep my mother out of a mental institution and I can't. It was just all happening at once." He said he refuses to file for bankruptcy. Instead, he starred in every VOD movie that was offered to him, but he insists he never took a role he didn't believe in.
Oh, stop it. You guys see the trailer for the new movie?
What? Oh, the unbearable massive.
The unbearable weight of massive talent. Nick Cage plays himself, who's like deep in debt, a version of himself, and gets hired by a wealthy multimillionaire to come to his birthday party in like Spain.
Oh, yeah. How was that?
It's not out yet.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's why I asked you to sell the trailer.
I'd like to see that.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm intrigued as well.
It sounds like it has like a bit of that being John Malkovich flair.
Yeah, a hyper real version.
Right.
At one point, Nick Cage, the guy's a super fan, right? The character, so he hires Nick Cage for $1 million to come out. And at one point, he's showing him around his Nick Cage collection, and he looks at like a wax sculpture with 2 guns from like I don't know, the Face Off, and he goes, "Oh my God, is that supposed to be me? It's grotesque. I'll give you $20,000 for it."
Well, let's talk a little more about hyperreality because I have a new reality show for you to sink your teeth into, Adam. The Love Boat is now a dating series, a reality dating series. Variety reports CBS and its sister Australian broadcaster Network 10 have both ordered local versions of The Real Love Boat, set to air in the U.S. and Australia later this year. Here's the log line. Strap in. It's about 4 sentences. The Real Love Boat brings singles together to cruise the Mediterranean on a luxury cruise ship while looking for love. Destination dates, challenges, and surprising singles will test the couple's compatibility and chemistry. Like the beloved original scripted series, the indispensable crew members, including the captain and cruise director, will play pivotal roles in the matchmaking and navigation of the romantic and sometimes turbulent waters ahead.
That's a metaphor.
Yeah, a Love Boat's lost a little of its charm for me.
What?
What is that? A jilted lover?
I told you guys that Drew had to come in here and go, all the scenes by the pool are shot on a soundstage.
Oh.
And I'm like, get the fuck out of
Why
here.
would he do
Thanks,
that?
Dr.
He did it,
Buzzkill.
and then he produced pictures, and, I screamed fake news at him
Sure.
and stormed out of the room.
You have
But
to.
Now, whenever I see him talking by the pool,
Yeah. The first reaction is denial. The first stage of grief.
The blooms off the rose. What
Yeah.
a dick.
what a dick, right?
He didn't have to do that.
That's all I have.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing.
That's right.
right.
Well, I'd like to do my part in maybe restoring a little bit of happiness in your Love Boat related news. It was bothering me the other night. I'm not a great sleeper. And I woke up in the middle of the night with this thought, oh my God, I know where I've seen Vicky Stubing before. It just hit me because her face looked so familiar and it just hit me in the middle of the night.
You're right. You're not a good sleeper.
It literally woke me up in the middle of the night. Does this clip look familiar? Now it's very visual, but it's so much fun to watch, and this is where I remembered her from.
And I wanted
Yeah,
to know
Airplane.
Airplane.
Yeah,
She was
that's
the
her.
little girl in the
that's her?
hospital bed. I was like, I know that face.
That's Vicky Stubing.
That's right. Jill Whelan.
Yes, that is the captain's
Real
biological
daughter, yeah.
Boo, he has somehow had to adopt later. I remember.
And out comes the ivy. Nobody notices.
Yeah, she's a fine actress. Pointing at her
good
arms,
physical
rolling her
comedy.
eyes.
Anyway, this is what I remembered her from. Because I knew I'd seen her face before.
I'm starting to get bumped by Vicky's, the teenage version, the 15-year-old version of Vicky and her relationship with Captain Stubing.
Why is that? Because they thought that a cruise boat was a healthy place to raise a child?
She does a lot of Father, do you think this dress is appropriate to wear to dinner? I don't know, Vicky. That neckline is sort of plunging. Okay, I'll get a turtleneck sweater.
Obedient.
I don't have that relationship at home.
Oh, no.
No?
With my version of Vicky Stubing. I will just put it to you that way.
Sonny wears revealing clothes.
Right.
She's very nice. Sonny's such a fucking nerd. We sat at dinner last night and did a deep dive on the band Boston.
Oh my
boy.
God.
A deep dive on Boston.
Dawson's nodding like Jack Nicholson in The Departed. Like, yeah.
They're an interesting story, that band. A little bit of tragedy, kind of crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll
Is
get into
Italia
that.
pushing the envelope with the outfits these days? I
Every
want to know what to look forward to.
every girl in the neighborhood wears tight, Daisy Dukes and crop tops.
boy.
I mean, that's how they all dress. But it's more like, first off, the reverence Vicky Stubing has for Captain
Father?
Stubing. Yes. May I?
Daddy dearest.
And then a lot of every time a young kid comes on, Vicky goes, oh, there's so much to do. I'll show you the ship. And they just skip
They're
off.
gone.
That's right. And what there is to do is there's a ping pong table and movie night once a week.
And a railing.
Right.
Right. My daughter, I get I go, how you feeling in town? She goes, you asked me that 5 minutes ago. It's a slightly different relationship.
It does seem off in terms of what Vicky is into. But remember,
I think the Love Boat, now be careful, but maybe a false representation of what that relationship
You're
might
just
look
getting
like.
jaded. But also remember,
blame
she has to compensate for the time she didn't have Captain Stubing in her life.
That's true.
Speaking of her lost time.
Don't feel bad. We talked about Andy Warhol the other day. I don't know if you know this or not, but in what may become one of the most expensive works of contemporary art ever to be sold at auction, a 60-year-old portrait of Marilyn Monroe by Andy Warhol will be sold at Christie's this May. And I have the pic. There it is. The very famous, her
The
sort of
iconic Marilyn Monroe
Technicolor.
picture.
Right.
Yes.
Coming to a 20th century art evening sale in New York with an estimated, upon request, it's called Shot Sage Blue Marilyn. It's from 1964. Any guess what it's expected to fetch around?
The art world's insane. The more the inflation goes up, the more the collectibles go up. And I'm going to say well over 150 million.
Okay.
I'll go even higher. Oh, I don't want to go over. I'll go 149.
They're expecting it to reach 200 million.
Wow.
If it reaches that, the sale could nearly double what Warhol's current record is of 105 million, set when his 1963 canvas Silver Car Crash Double Disaster sold at Sotheby's in 2013.
Yeah, I always think about it because there is a BMW M1 race car, pro car, that's an art car, that's an Andy Warhol art car. So somebody owns a BMW M1 pro car that was painted by Andy Warhol, although I assume they had their assistants
kind of
someone else
do stuff, and it looks like fried hell. It's literally he just slapped shit on the side of it, and it looks like hell. You can find that picture, Chris, but somebody owns that car, and that's got to be well over $100 million now, too.
You mentioned it looks like fried hell. Hey, if anyone listening on Twitter, someone who follows me or whatever, or who knows art, because I don't know shit about shit, was Andy Warhol that good of an artist? I know he was influential, pop art, he helped usher in a new form or style, whatever, but was he that good of an artist?
I will say this from watching the doc. And it's like, I don't know, Netflix 5-part or 6-part or something like that. He, and this is my DJ Khaled beef. If I saw you pick up an acoustic guitar and play it in a fair to middling fashion, or you sat behind a piano and you played it, you played it as well as anybody.
Competently.
Yeah, anyone who was in any bar band anywhere in America on any given Friday night. If you did that and then you said, I'm going to start pointing at the ceiling and yell, "We the best," I would sign off on what you're doing now. Andy Warhol, to give him his due, he was a graphic artist. He drew sketches. He came to New York and he was employed in that field for a little while. And then he took his sort of bizarre, creative, eccentric take on things and he applied it, but he had a base. His base was, I can paint.
He was a competent artist at least.
Yes. But if you see the art car, I don't know.
Oh boy,
what you think of it? It's interesting.
That looks like the kindergarten's raising money for a new cafeteria.
Yes.
He said he attempted to show speed as a visual image. When an automobile is really traveling fast, all the lines and colors are transformed into a blur.
Yeah, or he just didn't want to get out the masking tape.
Right.
But either way, does anyone know what that car might be worth?
You would know.
It's I don't know. Could be $75 million, $100 million.
Well, I'm certainly not saying that Andy Warhol or his estate is doing this. In fact, I do not believe this, and I think that all the money they give, if it goes to 200 million, it goes to his foundation. But I listen to the most interesting talk on TikTok, and that's all. I don't have any other credibility in this, how modern art is often used for money laundering and how it's fucking genius because you can't just hand over a check for $1 million, but I can say, here, buy this from me. And then all of a sudden the transaction is done. That's a very simple way of putting it.
I knew a modern artist named Ed Moses I've spoken about before, some renown, and he had a studio in Venice, and he would draw a huge orb on a piece of canvas, and he'd drop it off at the local restaurant, the nice upscale eatery, and he'd go like, "Oh, now I eat here for free for as long as I live." And they'd go like, "All right," and they just put the thing up on the wall, and then he'd just come in every night and eat.
But at least that's so
the government
semi-legitimate transaction.
Yeah. Well, that was a barter, but there was no government beak wetting, and like you sold it. Where's the proceeds?
I'm going to give a recommendation for a solid documentary called My Kid Could Paint That.
Oh, I've seen it.
It's good. It's about a little 5-year-old girl who becomes a sensation in the modern art world.
Or does she?
It's
really interesting.
All right, the last one, the great Tony Hawk is here.
Okay, well, I'm glad because I've been holding on to this for a few days and we haven't gotten to it. Sir Rod Stewart proved recently that he isn't too old or too rich to get out, do a little road work, get his hands dirty. The 77-year-old singer was recorded filling potholes in a reflective safety vest outside his home in England because he said
for drunk driving?
His Ferrari couldn't drive through with the potholes. Here's a clip of Stewart out there. It's a little hard to hear, but do your best. He is in the hole and throwing rocks on it.
where I live, because no one can bother to do it.
I'm repairing the place that I live because no one else will bother to do it. He's got a whole crew out there.
Yeah, there was a whole crew. There was a whole group. I don't know if you guys remember this story, but there was a group, and they're just a ragtag group of guys that went out and fixed potholes in like LA streets. And of course, the city shut them down because, hey, we're the people that don't fix potholes. You can't.
Those are our potholes.
Those are our potholes.
Put those back.
Yes. So
that's insane.
It's insane, but that was a story. And Rod Stewart, I interviewed him on Loveline many years ago, and the only thing I remember from that conversation is he's uncircumcised.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Good for him.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At some point, I would love to get all of your and Dawson's thoughts on the lyrics to Maggie May, which is a song I love, but that is a diss track if I ever heard one. Like the morning light, it really shows your age. And, it's interesting.
That's good.
Yeah, I love that song, but it's not a love song.
Well, then you go even further. I mean, Rod Stewart with Faces has one of the greatest lines of all time. Sit down, get up, get out.
Yeah. Glad Bags and Potholes is going to be his new song. Oh, deep cut for Dawson. Was it called?
Glad Bags and Hand Rags.
Is it that? Hand Rags and Glad Bags? It's a beautiful song.
I've never heard it.
You don't know that one?
I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Handbags and Glad Rags.
Handbags and Glad Rags.
You know why?
Yeah.
Because I know in the UK you're not allowed to put, that's why they couldn't, you're not allowed to put brand names in song titles. That's why Paul Simon had to, Kodachrome had a different name in the UK, if I'm remembering that correctly. So I was like, Glad Bags?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, not Glad Bags, like the trash liners.
I see.
Handbags and Glad Rags.
Glad Rags, yeah. All right, Steve Miller's the same way, too. If you find yourself tapping your foot to a Steve Miller song, go find out who wrote the fucking song.
I love Another Saturday Night.
Yes. Oh, that's Cat Stevens, and then that's Sam Cooke.
Wait, Brian, check my bio. We might have another intellectual day.
All right, wrap it up. Tony Hawk is here.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
All right, the great Tony Hawk going to join us in studio. So we'll take a quick break. We'll do a one-on-one with him right after this. Well, Tony Hawk has joined us in studio. Tony's got an event. He also has a doc coming out, Tony Hawk Until the Wheels Fall Off, that premieres April 5th on HBO. And the live event, Tony Hawk's Weekend Jam, that'll be May 12th through the 15th at the in downtown Las Vegas at the event center over there. Good to see you, Tony.
You too. Thanks.
Geez, I'm trying to think. I remember we went out for dinner with the boys at the Toyota Grand Prix.
During the Toyota Grand Prix. Yeah, that was one of those how did I get here moments for sure. It was you, Adrian Brody, Christian Slater.
Oh, that's right.
Keanu Reeves.
That's right. Yeah.
And we all hopped in my Jeep at the time, like squeezed in.
Jeep with the Viper engine in it.
Yeah, and then we went and got barbecue.
Yes, remember well.
That was
had you done that event again or
no.
before?
No, I crashed out. I got totaled. The guy forced me into the wall, and he got the black flag. He got kicked out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who was that?
It was that dude that bought his way in through the charity event.
Oh, yeah. There's always two guys that are there every year.
Yeah.
And they never get any better driving, which is weird because they've done it 20 times more than anybody else, but yet the lap times say something
He
different.
and I were going right past the fountain. He and I were going on the straightaway, and then he just pushed me into the wall.
Would you consider yourself sort of an adrenaline guy or like a thrill seeker? I mean, we know what you do on a skateboard, but I was watching the Michael Schumacher doc last night, coincidentally, and when he wasn't driving F1, he was jumping out of airplanes.
I never went that far with it. I liked the daredevil aspect of skating, but it wasn't the only thing that drew me into it. So I was the kid, for sure, when I was younger, I was the kid that would go off the high dive.
Right.
But I wasn't always like, what's next? Well, I want to go sky surfing. It's not that kind of thing. It was more that I loved the idea of skateboarding was Evel Knievel on four wheels, to me.
Right. And so when did you start? How did it come about?
My brother was a surfer in the 70s, my older brother. He's 13 years older. And then he started skating because that was an extension of surfing at the time, late 70s, Dogtown Z-Boys. And one day I just picked up one of his old boards because he was skating in the alleyway, and I just started going.
And I understand that somewhat because I was never a skater, but I was a balance person, and I found a unicycle at some point, and I couldn't get off it. Once I got on it, I was like, I can't stop doing this. It's all I'm doing now. And most people try it and go, yeah, fuck it, or
that's what I did.
On the unicycle, yeah. But with a skateboard, it was like me in the unicycle. Like you got on it and you were like, "This is where I'm living." It
wasn't like that. It was more that I liked that suddenly I had a mode of transportation. I had a bike at the time, but skating just seemed cool then. And there were a bunch of people in my neighborhood with they'd build a little quarter pipe in their alleyway, and everyone would go there for Saturday. And so I started just kind of doing it with them. It wasn't something that I thought I was going to be committed to until I went to the skate park, and I literally saw people flying out of pools, and I was like, this is it. I want to do this. I'm going to quit everything else and do this.
And how much of it is just God-given ability?
Not at all. I mean, really, when I started, I was super scrawny. I didn't have the strength or the style to really ride the pools the way they were ridden by the pros. So I sort of formulated my own style and it was more just out of desperation, like how to get in the air instead of lifting my board with my hands was to actually do it with my feet. And that was just because I couldn't do it any other way. I couldn't get in the air any other way. And I got a lot of heat for that because they thought it was like this cheating method.
Well, why would they think? I'm trying to picture it. They go up and they
grab the board before they get to the top, and then just kind of muscle it into the air, right? As if you're grabbing a piece of plywood under your feet and jumping up with it. I learned how to pull the plywood up using only my feet, and then grab it once it's in the air.
So you got more lift out of it?
I got more lift, and then I could go way higher without having to weigh 200 pounds, and those guys be big. I was super skinny, super scrawny, short. I weighed 70 pounds.
How old were you at the time?
12.
And a year after that, what were you doing?
I was pretty much spending all my free time skating and quit playing basketball and baseball, Little League, and then just would try to get rides to the park after school whenever I could. So my brother, he was living in, he was going to college in Santa Barbara at the time. He would drive down once a week to San Diego and take me to the skate park. So I knew every Wednesday I'd have a ride to the skate park after school, and then eventually convinced my dad to take me as much as possible.
Where were your parents with this stuff?
They were actually really supportive because I was the youngest of 4 kids, and I was a lot younger, and I was super hyper and challenging, as my mom liked to say. He was very determined.
Right.
Which just means that I was an asshole. But and so basically they were just happy that something kept my attention and that I would be busy all day. So yeah, get him to the skate park, get him out of our hair. But I got hurt a couple times, and that was concerning to them.
Were things taking a back seat, like schoolwork and relationships?
No, relationship. I didn't really know what that was anyway. Not schoolwork. No, I was in advanced courses and stuff. My schoolwork didn't get affected until I eventually made it a career and went pro. But I was only 14 at the time, 15. And so then I was expected to go to these events that were like cross country for the weekend. So I'd have to go to Jacksonville, Florida for the weekend and compete. And then I would have to take Friday off or Monday off. And that is when my grades started to suffer because I literally wasn't there.
Did you, what kind of injuries did you have earlier on?
Well, the first bad one was a bad concussion and knocked my front teeth out. And then, had a couple more concussions through those years, knocked my front teeth out probably about 7 times. And then dislocated my shoulder, eventually tore cartilage in both knees, but that was more later on when I was more established, I guess.
And I guess we should talk about the recent injury with the femur.
Oh, that one. Oh, yeah, that happened a little while ago.
I was watching, I don't know, TMZ maybe, and saw that thing snap.
Yeah,
very badly.
Yeah, I was skating a couple weeks ago on my ramp, kind of a normal day on my ramp, and did a trick that I do pretty frequently, and something went wrong on the landing, and the next thing I knew, I'm sliding across the flat bottom of the half pipe, and my leg is in a totally different place than it used to be. I broke my femur.
Yeah, and I mean, according to the pictures, people say I broke this or I broke that, but this is broke clean.
It was in a different place.
Was the pain really bad?
It wasn't, not in that moment. I definitely was high on adrenaline and whatever else, but one of our sons was actually there with his friends, and that was kind of the reason I came to skate, because he had friends from out of town. I was like, yeah, come bring the ramp, we'll all skate for him, blah, blah, and then next thing you know, my leg is elsewhere. And he said that I sat up and picked up my leg that was dragging behind me and put it in place and said, I broke my leg. He said that was the only words that came out of my mouth.
Where would you be now at age 53? It's crazy that you're still doing this shit. And I know you plan on doing it at the event coming up in May 12th. So not a
lot of time.
Is it about I don't know, 7 weeks?
It's 9 weeks.
9 weeks. Yep. Jesus. All right, we can get into that. But where would you say you're at skills-wise right now? Like what you can do on a ramp? Not that fateful day where you got the compound fracture, but in general, from, let's say, what age were you when you would go, I was at my best at that age?
I kind of changed my style through all the years, so it's hard to gauge what was the best. I felt like I had the biggest trick selection and probably the most sort of bravado in my 30s.
Really?
Because that's when I did my first 900. That's when we did a Boom Boom Huck Jam tour. We were doing the loop ramp every night. We were jumping a 50-foot gap, and I was doing that 30 shows a summer for a span of 4 years.
Right.
And so I feel like that was probably my best physical, that was my best physically, but also in terms of how I performed.
Yeah, because of the repetition.
The repetition, but also it allowed me, I wasn't in competition mode where I had to do stuff only stuff I could make. So it allowed me to try stuff more freely, maybe fall and get up and try it again in the show. And that was what I loved.
So 20 years on, let's say.
Yep.
What % are you of that person on a ramp? Or
I would say before I got hurt, I was roughly 80% of that.
That's pretty impressive.
I had I actually learned a lot of new tricks in the last few years, but they're not crazy spinning or big height moves. They're more technical, and it's the kind of thing that I can do and survive a day by trying it. And it keeps me happy that it's creative, but it doesn't move the needle. It's not going to be a SportsCenter highlight. SportsCenter doesn't really care about the alley-oop, shove it Smith grind thing, but I love it, and skaters seem to enjoy it, and that's enough for me.
It's interesting that your passion has never waned. You hear about all these stories about these athletes, and they're hanging it up, and they're not having fun anymore. And there's bands that go out on the road for 2 years, and they go, no more touring. I can't take this anymore. How did you arrange it so that you always had this sort of passion for it and didn't get burnt out?
I think it was that I just sort of did it on my own terms. So as I got older, I realized my limitations there. Well, maybe I haven't so much, but I realized that I did have a lot more limitations or hesitancy to do the stuff I used to do, and I can sort of redirect that to a new style. And I don't have anyone to answer to. So that's been, I'm not in a competition circuit. I'm not in or expected to do certain events or exhibitions and things. I mean, I do sign up for them, but it's just more like what can I make of this? Because I have my own outlet for sharing it through social media, and we have our own skate company. And so I guess the passion for me is just how do I keep doing this on my own terms?
When did I remember working X Games in San Francisco with Jimmy Kimmel and myself.
Yeah.
And it was one of the earlier X Games, and they had street luge.
Oh, yeah.
Back then with Lugenstein.
They were all over the map. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't exactly have their
bungee jumping.
Yeah, they didn't have their format exactly nailed down.
Right.
When did you start at the? There's me and Jimmy and Andy Dick.
Oh yeah, I remember Andy Dick was there too.
So you must have been a part of that.
Yeah.
Had X Games predated you, or did you participate in like the first
one? Yeah, 95.
First one.
Yep.
Oh, it's 95. Oh, this says X Games. I'm looking at it.
Oh, it's part of a 25th anniversary X Games.
Oh, I'm like, I thought we were there kind of toward the beginning because we got there in 99 or something, 98 or something.
98 and 99 was San Francisco. No, 99 and 2000 was San Francisco, I believe.
So we must have been there in 99. So I had this sort of impression that this was a fledgling event, so to speak. And I guess it was. So how old were you when you hit your first one?
95, I was 27.
And 10 gold, 3 silver, 3 bronze. So you must have won your first time out?
I won the ramp event, the half-pipe event, yeah.
What other events were you in?
Street. I think I got second or third because what they called street was just more like a cut-up skate park. Looked more like a video game than anything you'd find on the street.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it wasn't.
But it was more suited to my style, so that's what I'm saying. It wasn't much of stairs and ledges. And
they didn't have the big air one.
Not then, no.
Not for a while, right?
That wasn't even really created then.
Yeah, no. To me, the most compelling thing to watch is that big air ramp.
It's crazy.
I mean, the gap between the two.
60 feet.
Just how far they travel. First off, just going down the takeoff.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like when Evel Knievel would do that shit, I'd be like dropping in feels like the scariest part of this endeavor. And then there's the end ramp. I mean,
all we tell people is if you're going to do it, stay on your skateboard until the launch. Because if you stay on your skateboard at the launch, your momentum will carry you over the gap, regardless if you make it.
Right.
But you'll clear that thing.
And regardless of whether you land it, but you'll clear it.
You'll clear it. Yeah, that's the most important thing.
Right. Don't fall off before you take off.
Yeah, or turn back.
Don't turn back.
Don't turn back.
No, it's impossible. We're watching someone do this now, and now they're doing flips and
right there.
Who's doing that? Who is that?
Who is that? That one is Ronnie Gomez from Australia. Big tail grab.
I mean, could you imagine showing this?
See that? You don't even notice that he had so much time he could take his foot off in midair.
What if I showed you this when you were 14? Your head would have exploded.
I would have cried.
Right?
I would have cried because I would have known that I want to do that, and it's going to take way too long and way too many hits to do that. There's a 900.
God, a 900. We all remember where we were. So now you're 14, you're turning pro.
Right.
Do you have sponsors?
I have one main sponsor, Pal Peralta, which was the creator of the Bones Brigade. And there was no money in it. So, basically you fill out an entry form to the competition, and then you check the pro box instead of the AM box. And that's it. You're pro.
And your sponsor pays for the flight? I mean...
it was Southern California. So I turned pro at a contest that was in Whittier. I live in San Diego, so we drove there. And the first prize was $100.
Did you win it?
No, I got fourth.
And
$100 for first, 75 second, 50 for third. I got fourth.
And what would the sponsor, like, when did the real sponsor start showing up?
You mean more corporate sponsors?
Yeah, more dollars, more corporate.
There was a little bit of that in the 80s. It wasn't abundant. So every once in a while, like you get a Mountain Dew commercial, but you didn't have Mountain Dew sponsorship.
Right.
So it was more that kind of thing. No one was really sponsored by companies that were non-endemic until I'd say the 2000s. And that's when X Games was hitting its peak. And that's when it was more like Red Bull and Nike was making skate shoes. And, you wouldn't be like, at that moment, for 99, my sponsors were, besides skate sponsors, Club Med and Hot Wheels.
Right. And but But once you turned pro, you never looked back.
I was 14, so I didn't really think that was my career.
You didn't?
I was just stoked that I held the title of pro skater. No one my age, like in my school, cared.
They didn't.
No, because it was skateboarding. Like it was like, you still do that? You're too old to be doing that.
Well, there are kind of eras for things, you know.
Like, I mean, but in that era was like, it was skateboarding was likened to hula hoops or yo-yos.
Oh yeah, right. I mean, it wouldn't be that way now, would it?
No.
You'd be kind of big man on campus, wouldn't you, if you're a pro skater?
At school, absolutely, yes.
It's funny. It's an era thing. It's like I was good at football in high school when no one really gave a shit about football in high school, you know. But if you were star of the football team in the 50s, you got to bang the head cheerleader instead of go home and beat off with your stepmom in the next room. Not saying I personally did that, but it's a metaphor.
That was an oddly specific example.
Well, leave Lynn out of this. It's my stepmom's name. So and speaking of your family, your folks were together during this time?
My folks were, they were much older though. My dad actually passed away right after the first X Games.
Really?
Yeah. But to him, to see skateboarding on ESPN, that was the biggest moment.
Oh, it's interesting.
You know, in terms of what I did.
It's interesting because I was talking to Bill Maher, who was sitting where you're sitting a couple days ago. And I don't know, maybe it's a morbid curiosity or maybe it's that my parents don't really care what I do. But I always go like, was your dad around long enough to see you win the Super Bowl? Or, I always kind of pray that the dads were around
well,
to
for
see
him,
you.
that was the biggest. I mean, definitely things got much, much bigger and crazier after that. But it was cool that he got to see that because to him, mainstream sports were everything.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting because it's the equivalent. Because Bill Maher said, no, he wasn't around to see me do Politically Incorrect and HBO shows and everything else. But he was around long enough to see me do a set on The Tonight Show, on Johnny Carson. And it's like, he was like, and that meant something to him. And I'm kind of picturing your dad and ESPN and X Games and Sun on TV. Same kind of thing. Not around long enough to see the crazy success in video games and stuff like that after, but saw you skateboarding on TV, which was probably something he didn't think he was going to see.
Yeah, it was absolutely huge. And then my mom passed away a couple years ago, but she definitely got to see the rest of it.
And so we'll toggle back and forth. Now you're 14, you're technically a pro, but there's no real money coming in. Where does the money start to trickle in from?
Well, first from competition earnings and very much trickled. I think after my second year as a pro, or after my first year as a pro, I had $600 saved, and I went and bought a Honda scooter so that I could get to the skate park by myself. And then after that, it was signature skateboard royalties. And then when I turned 16, when I was 16, 17, that started coming in big.
Because your name started to get out there?
Yeah. And the royalties were huge. And I ended up buying a house while I was a senior in high school.
Must have been a good place to smoke pot. I mean, not for you, but for everybody you knew.
It was hard to be focused on my senior year.
Oh, yeah.
While living on my own with 3 roommates.
So did the skateboarding royalties, Tony Hawk's signature board is what we're basically talking about, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's just a deal you cut with the manufacturer.
With my sponsor, with Powell Peralta, yeah.
And every unit that gets sold, you get to wet your beak.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I know that the royalties weren't, the percentage wasn't huge, but it was definitely enough. I think it equated to about $1 a skateboard.
And they were moving units.
Yeah, I mean, at one point they were probably selling 20,000 a month.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
And is that off of your name or is it off of, hey, that's a really good board and I don't know whose name's on it?
I think it was mostly my name combined with the fact that it was Powell Peralta. Mm-hmm. Some kids went to the store. I learned this later just because people told me they did studies and whatnot, but I learned later that people would just go, I want a Tony Hawk skateboard. Didn't matter that it was Bones Brigade, it was Powell Peralta, that was just that.
I gotta imagine a first edition Tony Hawk board's got to be worth something these days. I mean, in a world where Michael Jordan sneakers are $2 million, you know.
There's my very first skateboard didn't sell at all, and so they didn't make very many, and so there are only a handful left. And mine got lost in when I gave it to a skate shop to put on display.
Lost in air quotes. Yeah.
Yeah, lost. Well, because I've seen it sort of pop up on social media and eBay once in a while. It's like, whenever you got that.
How long ago did you do this?
Like 20 years ago.
So you said
I let them borrow it. They were going to put it on display, and then the shop closed, and then it just went into the ether. But I had to buy one of the. I wanted one for my collection, so I bought one from a guy in Australia. And I think I got a deal from him for like $5,000 and one of my personal skateboards that I was riding.
When you bought it, does it have wheels and trucks on it?
No.
Just the board.
Just the board, and it was
Like
you could
it
tell
made
it
a
had been assembled, so there were trucks and wheels on it. So it was like new, but it was obviously not brand new.
Wow.
So if you get a new one, you could fetch a lot for it.
Well, it sounds like a lot because A, he gave you a little Tony Hawk break, right? And then B, you gave him one of your, like, signed a board and gave him another board. So it sounds like those things will fetch a penny.
I think so, yeah.
Which is kind of flattering, right? I mean,
it's amazing. Yeah, it's crazy.
And also, it's the one that didn't sell.
Yeah, yeah.
And when they were trying to sell them, they're trying to sell them for $19 or $23.
Probably, yeah.
So now look at you now.
It was funny. They had one at my local skate park, one of my pro models, and it just sat on the shelf for so long.
Oh, you had to go look at it.
Yeah, I'd walk by the pro shop to go skate. Just like, oh, there it is.
Oh,
no one's getting it.
When you first said, I thought like on display, like Tony Hawk.
No, on sale.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
It's okay.
You landed on your feet, except for that one time 3 weeks ago. You didn't. So, what is as far as recovery goes for you? Because you're hell bent on. You had a very bad clean break. Is broken a leg. The picture of your broken leg would work in any textbook or any dictionary as this is what a broken leg looks like. This is an X-ray of what a broken leg looks like. How does it work for you for like recovery, and how much of it is just a determination?
It's both. We had this event planned a long time ago, and a lot of magic happened for all these bands to agree to that same weekend. So there is I feel this obligation to it, and I would like to skate for it. So I feel like, okay, that became my goal once this happened. And I'm just leaning into doing all the exercises, weight bearing. I mean, basically the doctor said, look, we put this titanium rod in your leg. It's never going to be stronger. You're not going to break it. So if you can handle the pain, just go full steam ahead.
Jesus, a balls to the wall doc.
It was, yeah. But also my I broke my pelvis 20 years ago, but I didn't have it operated on. And when they went in to fix my leg, they saw the fracture line on my pelvis, and so they reinforced that as well, so that my leg wouldn't overpower my pelvis. So basically, that's the doctor saying, like, look, you're bionic on that side.
That must have been discussed in advance, though, right?
It wasn't.
He
saw it in there, yeah.
And he went and drilled and put a titanium plate
on there? He did, yeah.
On there?
So when I woke up, I had 6 holes in my leg.
So it's basically like the guy goes, I changed your brake pads, but I noticed your rotors were kind of warped, so I turned those, but no charge.
Yeah.
Or charge.
And there was a calcium deposit on my pelvis from me hitting my hip a long time ago, and it was sort of floating in my hip for a while, and it finally just attached itself. So he's like, so we shaved that off too.
Wow.
One-stop shop.
So this guy opens you up to put a titanium rod on your femur. How long is this rod?
I don't know. The X-ray is like the whole
length of the femur, which is your biggest, strongest bone in your body. And you're 6'3"? What
6'3", yeah.
So that's a lot of femur rod there. And while he's got that open, he sees your. I don't know. I feel like there's a HIPAA law that says he's got to wake you back up, and then you got to sign something.
Do you mind if we do this?
Yeah.
No, I knew of his reputation because I know another doctor in their system, and he said, "Yeah, that's the guy." I mean, he's the trauma surgeon, but he's the guy that could do it, right? And so I went with that, and I'm thankful I did. And going forward, I do feel like if I'm able to really weight bear on this leg and walk properly, that I'll be able to skate. But as of right now, I'm still kind of relying on a crutch and not taking those steps.
Do you have any thoughts about pain medication, opioids?
I would choose not to do that.
Is that your thing? Are you a sober person? Or
no, it's not that. I definitely went down a road like 10, 15 years ago where I was using those loosely and it, wasn't necessarily for pain every time. And I found myself like, this is a problem.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't something like some intervention or something. It was definitely, I could tell that it was a problem. I was like, I gotta not do that because it's not really even helping with the pain anymore. And so when I had this, there were a couple nights that I took them because they were really difficult to sleep, and then I just quit. So
is it Vicodin?
They gave me Oxy, and I was not. That's not cool.
It's so weird with drugs because some drugs and Oxy's scary, and all the pain pills are scary because they can get a grip on people that don't have issues with substances at a later stage, not talking about high school, like 45-year-old
absolutely
hurt himself on doing a construction site. Now he's fucking strung out. Like it's crazy.
It's so common.
It is, and it's kind of a luck of the draw thing. Like I remember hearing all about it, working with Dr. Drew, blah blah blah, heard all the stories. I never took any of them. I was sort of uninsured my whole life and just sort of fucking bit on a wooden spoon if something hurt or something. But then at some point you have dental surgery and you get insurance and blah, 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 and they give them to you. And I took them and I just didn't like them. Like I was like, I'd rather have some booze or some pot or anything. But like, I was just like, I don't really like these.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that. Some people do it and they go, oh man, I like these. And then it's on, and other people take them and go, I don't like them.
Yeah.
And then it's never going to be a thing with them.
Yeah, or it just sort of deadens other pain that you have, and that can be something to keep chasing as well. So I totally understand what you're saying, and like I said, I could see myself starting to lean that direction at some point in my life, and just said this is not productive for me, and I'm not present. I mean, that was it for me. I wasn't present with my family, with my kids, and it was just like, this is not a way to live. And so when I do get hurt, I mean, literally the most I take is ibuprofen.
So you have kind of a constitution and like a fortitude about you that can kind of govern yourself.
I hope so.
Well, a lot of people don't. But I mean, is you understood, like, I'm taking this, maybe I'm taking it too much, maybe I'm liking it too much, maybe I'm taking it when I don't need it.
To recognize it,
and then I recognize that this is something and I need to look into it and stop it before it turns into something bigger.
Yeah, and also, I think that also I learned so much discipline through skating.
That's what I'm saying.
That if I can direct that, and I didn't always. I mean, definitely, I had a lot of rocky relationships and things like that. So I didn't never always direct that towards other parts of my life until much later.
But the ability to kind of try a trick and not get it, and then just get up and do it again, like until you get it. It's a thing. I have it in my head. I was that way when I was a kid. It was something on a BMX bike. I didn't do it, you had to do it, and it's starting to get dark outside. It's like,
obsessive.
I'm not leaving until I do this thing. And now your elbows are all scraped up, and you just go. And there's a weird thing that's in you. There's a lot of people like, I'm not trying that shit in the first place. And then everyone else who goes, I'll try it once, but if I eat shit, I'm going home. And then there's the one who looks at it as some sort of challenge, like between me and the mountain.
That's how I see it.
Move it. Yes. And that's just a thing. I I don't think you don't learn it at school. It's not like your dad was a Navy SEAL and he passed it on. It's just the kind of who you are. Is that how you feel?
I think so, yeah. And I learned to recognize it in other skaters, especially young skaters, like ones that maybe I want to sponsor and things. You just see it. You see that they have it and you can't teach it.
Right. It's a determination.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of a, I mean, it's a sport that kind of begs you to quit in the sense that if you're playing basketball and you miss a 3-pointer, you don't eat shit. You just miss.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a weird determination. And you're right. It has to be in way less than 1% of the population.
Maybe.
But it's something you can apply to many facets of life. And I'm sure you did that with business, right?
Yeah, I think so. And just the idea of taking chances and the sort of adrenaline rush of that got me into a lot of businesses.
When did the video games come around?
The first one was released in 1999.
And what was your expectations of that? Did you have thoughts?
My expectation of that was that skaters were going to love it and that maybe they would buy PlayStations to play it. That really was it. For me, that would have been the mark of success. I knew it was fun because I played video games my whole life, starting with Missile Command, Pac-Man in arcades and all the home systems. So I knew it was a fun game to play, but skating just wasn't big then. So it wasn't like someone was, not like FIFA. Someone wasn't just drawn to it because they love soccer. And so I thought, well, at least it's authentic. Skaters will like it. The tricks are right. You can do crazy combinations. And then after the first game was released, they started talking about a sequel.
So they must have known something.
They felt some hype for sure. It wasn't in sales necessarily, but just all the reviews and all the attention it was getting. And then they offered me actually a buyout of future royalties right then because they felt the swell of excitement, and I turned it down. Luckily,
that's good.
Yeah.
So you're still same as with the skateboards earlier on with your name on the Tony Hawk edition. You get a piece of every unit that's sold.
Yeah.
Well, that's good because 1.4 billion has been generated out of 18 titles.
It was a wild ride through those years.
Is that so? Do you just have what I like to call F me money, which is better than FU money?
Not really. I started a lot of businesses and took some risks and lost stuff and divorces and things like that. So I have enough for us and our kids. But it's not FU money now.
Why did they launch in '99 if skateboarding wasn't as big as at that time, as you said, as it could have been?
Why did they do it then?
Yeah, I mean, I understand soccer and football and everything else.
They saw that the kind of X Games MTV thing was happening among youth. Mm-hmm. And there had been skateboarding games in the past. There were home games. There was 720 arcade game. There was Skate or Die home game. And so there had been a gap between that. There was like Commodore 64. And then when they got to PlayStation, there had been nothing in between there. And so they thought, we're going to do something that's a home skate game with the new technology. But they didn't put a ton of resources into it. So we worked on it for about a year and a half before it got released. And like I said, I knew we had something good. It was fun. But then it just exploded.
The 900 was pulled off in '99?
In '99, yeah. It was just a couple months before the release of the game. And I remember emailing them the next day, the Neversoft, the producers of the game. I said, the developers, and I said, hey, you guys, I did this trick at the X Games the other night or last night, and I think you might want to add that as a special trick. And I knew they were right down to the wire, like they were almost submitting it to the console manufacturers. And the head of Neversoft emailed me back right away, and he said, we're way ahead of you. You fucking rule.
The 900 was huge, and it was all over the news, and it was a big deal. And I like sports, and I like the X Games, and I like football and car racing and stuff like that. But I remember you couldn't escape it. It's kind of interesting that it captured the zeitgeist of a guy doing revolutions on a skateboard, like why that just became a thing, you know?
Yeah, it caught me by surprise for sure.
It had to have. How could you expect that kind of outpouring of enthusiasm over a skateboard trick?
Right. Well, I mean, just for example, I did the first 720 in 1985 on a ramp like that was near a lake in Sweden with 3 people watching me. It didn't make waves.
Right.
I got a picture in a magazine, like a skate magazine. That was it. So fast forward to one more half a turn is a Sports Center highlight. Like that didn't connect. It was too crazy.
Was a side question. It's 6'3". Is that do you think your body benefits you for these tricks and the skating?
I think
most guys are under 6 foot, it seems to me, but I don't.
Yeah, but I grew up really small, so I learned how to tuck. And I kept that flexibility all through my adult years. That's what kept me going for sure.
So the 900, you knew you were going to try it.
I didn't.
You didn't?
No, I mean I had been trying it for years and hadn't made it yet. I got really close. I broke my rib once. I like jacked my back up and couldn't skate for a while.
What's the technical rule of pulling it off? Because like when they do weightlifting, you got to snatch it and get it over your head.
Well, if you're on a half pipe,
you're
on a half pipe, you've got to ride across the flat bottom and get up to the next wall.
Oh, okay. So you can put a hand down,
sure,
or a ass cheek down, or whatever. Do you have to stay on the board?
Stay on the board, but at the same time, skateboarding is so subjective that if you did, which I did, I dragged my hand a little bit. They could say, well, it wasn't as clean as it could have been, so it's not as good as this other trick. You know what I mean? It's all subjective. So, and honestly, when I did it, the timer had ran out.
Oh, really?
So I didn't care. I wasn't trying to do it.
It didn't count against your score or for your score.
Yeah, I was just caught in the moment. I wanted to do it. I thought that the feed was shut off.
Oh, you didn't think they were filming?
No, I mean I knew they were filming, but I didn't think they were still airing it because the time had run out, and they're not going to go overtime for a skateboard event.
How much time? How long between the time it ran out and the time you did it?
That's a good question. I think it was probably about 10 minutes or so.
Oh, was that long?
It was a 20-minute event, and I probably went another 10 minutes. Yeah.
So sorry to drill down on this, but I'm interested. You go out there, you have an allotted time to do the half ramp or the half pipe.
Right. Well, okay. So there was a half pipe event, which is you put a routine together.
Right.
And that you get 45 seconds.
Right.
Which is roughly 15 walls to do your best tricks and whatever. And then that day they decided, or that event, they decided we're going to have a best trick event, which we had at different skate events through the years, but it was always just a shit show. It was like everyone's dropping in on each other, trying their hardest thing. Everyone's bailing. A couple people make things and they walk away with trophies, but it's no fun to watch as a spectator. If you're not a skater, because it's just like, what is this?
It's too confusing.
It's confusing. Everyone's falling, and you know you got to really know the tricks. So when they decided to do it for the X Games, that's how we approached it. It was like, oh, that's cool, they're doing it, but I don't think the home viewer is going to watch it. And so we all started trying these hard tricks, and if you watch, I know it's out there somewhere, if you watch the whole event start to finish, so many crazy tricks went down in that 20-minute period that it's fascinating.
Other skaters.
Other skaters were just killing it. Colin McKay, Bob Burnquist. And it was like everyone had something that they had been working on, and they all got them there in that moment. And my best trick at the time was actually a variation of a 720. So I did a double spin with my body, and I turned my board an extra 180. I had done it once before. I knew that was my best trick, and I caught that early on. So I still had 10 minutes to run the clock out. And that's why I started trying 900s.
And hey, I seem to recall from the video you were on the ramp alone though when you pulled it off.
Because once I started trying it, then the timer ran out.
Oh, I see.
And then all the other skaters stopped because they were following the rules.
Right.
But they all got behind me. So, you know, they kept every time I'd fall, they would all be like, go one more, let's see one more.
How many times did you try it before you
I think like
stuck it?
11 or 12 maybe.
Wow. And then it was and that no one had done it since. No, sorry, they've done it since. How long between then and the time another person had done it?
The next year.
Is how much of that? I mean, I have this theory in life, which is you see someone do it, now you go, oh, I can do it, and I think famously,
or just to know that it's possible. That for me, that's what it was. That if I knew someone had done it, it wasn't like I was trying to copy someone's technique. It was just more that, oh, it is possible.
Yeah, you know what, Chris? Bob Beeman broke the 4-minute mile in like 1951 or 49 or something like that. So nobody thought you could break a 4-minute mile.
Right.
Not on a skateboard, Chris, running. He's a big
okay.
skater
Let
fan.
me
And so from, you know, all the running and all the Olympics and all the events, no one did it, but he did it in 1953 or whatever, maybe earlier. I'll bet you another guy did it 10 minutes later. It was like 100 years of no one did it, and then someone did it, and now something in your head goes, oh, this is possible.
I think
no other aspect of it changes.
I'm seeing Roger Bannister.
Bob Beeman was a long jumper. Sorry, Roger Bannister. What year? The Bannister 54. And the Beeman. Oh, it's pretty close.
That's pretty close.
So no one had done it until he did it, and people have been running tracks since the Roman days. And then I'll bet you someone did it a year later, but you can look that up. Sorry, go ahead.
But so I think 2 or 3 other people did it within that first year or 2 after I did it.
Still good to be the first, though, right?
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, it really did change my life in terms of being able to exit competition in a way that I was proud of, because it was like I ended on a high note. I wasn't just there fading away. And then it gave this crazy recognition that allowed me to do a lot more stuff, like the arena tour that we did right after that.
Well, I hate talking about myself being correct, but 2 months later, another guy broke the 4-minute mile. Is what I'm saying. And by the way, this is 54. Like, they've been doing the Olympics for 50 years or 38 years or whatever the hell it was. No one had broken it, and then he broke it, and took less than half a year for them to do it. So how are skaters? You know, like you hear about surfers and they get a little aggressive and this is my wave and go home Val. I lived in the valley. So if you lived in the valley, you're called a Val.
Yeah.
So listen, I was miserable enough in the valley. I don't need your hatred if I go over the hill. But
there's actually a song, go back to the valley.
Yeah. And it's like, well, it's 119 degrees in the valley and I don't have any fucking air conditioning, okay? But are skaters that way? Do they have that kind of mentality?
Not really. The whole thing about surfing is there are only so many waves. Well, now they're man-made, so that's starting to open up more. But with skating, it's much more inviting, much more inclusive. I mean, sure, there's still kids that are too cool for school, and it's like, dude, you can't even kickflip, stuff like that. But it's not there's no localism isn't really a thing.
And I know you're going to be presenting at the Oscars coming this Sunday, which is kind of cool. I don't know how
that's wild. I don't either.
How that came about.
With Shaun White and Kelly Slater.
Oh, interesting. And so how did that I just
got an email requesting that I'd be there and give an award away with those guys. I said, yes.
What
I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
Well, it's got to be up. Oh.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Something.
I just found out today what it is, so I don't know if I'm allowed to. Whatever. It's not going to be some great. Let's just say it. There is a legendary movie franchise that we are honoring. How's that?
Oh, well, that's interesting because it's not going to be hair and makeup. That's for sure. And speaking of Kelly Slater, you must have tried some surfing. Yeah. Your brother was a surfer. Must be something you're pretty good at.
I'm okay. I don't move mountains, but I can catch waves and ride them properly. Do little ollies and things like that.
What have you set your sights on that?
I loved surfing with my brother when I was younger, even before I skated. Mm-hmm. But the first time I got held down, I was like, no, it's not for me. I panicked.
Really? So
yeah,
it's like
I'm not a waterman.
So the memory of eating shit on a wave,
and then just getting rolled by the wave was too heavy. So I love surfing, but I like surfing in relatively smaller waves and being able to kick out of the wave if I want to. And
it's interesting your wiring in that you eat shit on a ramp and you get yourself stitched back up and you get right back on the board, and compound fractures and pelvises and whatnot. But there's something about the wave.
Drowning. Yeah, but also you're just so not in control of that.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Like you're sort of along for the ride.
Yes.
And you have to kind of decide. Some people don't react. Most people don't like that feeling.
Right.
Others somehow don't seem.
Or just relax. I can't relax like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, I gotta wait for this wave to go out, and they'll swim up when I'm just like scratching for the surface every time.
Yeah, I would have thought your mentality would be more like of a surfer's mentality or big wave mentality, but it's not, because maybe it's a control thing. I mean,
maybe
really
it's control
things.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not gonna put out a video game with your name on it. You're gonna be involved with it. I don't necessarily mean control
deeply,
it, but you'll be really hands-on.
Yeah.
And this is the opposite of control. God is just holding you underwater.
Right, yeah. Although I am not as afraid to, say, go snowboarding and get dropped from helicopters and go down peaks like Powder and stuff like that. Doesn't really freak me out.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Now, how'd your surfer brother do with your success? Did he hate your guts? Was he the biggest fan?
No, but I think he was fascinated by it firstly, but he was heavily involved in the surf industry. He actually was the editor of Surfer Magazine for a few years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think there was a part of that was like, I'm not just Tony's brother. Like I do this stuff, and I think one time he would write the foreword in every magazine, and he did actually write about me at one point. And he's like, well, my brother, he is known as a skateboarder, but he is a total puss in the water. So he got that out of his system.
I was reading on my sheet that you have 144 IQ.
I don't know if that's current, but sure.
And you were tested at school, so it's documented.
Okay.
And you do. I'm kind of fascinated by you because maybe I do a little stereotyping, but a lot of the surfer skater guys, they're sort of interested in surfing or skating, and they don't seem to have a broad expanse outside of that.
Right, yeah.
A little myopic or something.
Sure.
I can kind of tell. I know it's a strange thing, but like I know a lot of car guys. Car guys know nothing about sports and don't care about sports.
Right.
It's weird. You think of it as, it's a man's man. He loves his cars. He loves his sports. No, they do not love their sports.
Yeah.
They love their cars. They don't know shit. Sports guys don't know shit about cars and don't care. And I've been pretty spot on. But skaters being, sort of having this diversity of thought like you have, and like making jokes, having a sense of humor, doing a podcast, talking into a microphone, Masked Singer, stuff like stuff like that. I'm just kind of interested in, is that always been a philosophy, or is it a natural curiosity, or where's that come from?
Just from me personally, or in skate? I like the challenge, and I felt like skating was as much of an art form as a sport. So I always appreciated that creativity. I felt like there was a lot of music that was associated with skateboarding. There was a lot of innovative fashion and movements that I thought stemmed from skateboarding. So that's what I loved about it. But I also did love all that other stuff. So when I am offered to do these random things, it's always like, yeah, that sounds cool. Like Masked Singer, like I come from a musical family. So I thought I could probably hold a tune for at least one song.
What song did you do?
Well, I did "Friday I'm in Love" by The Cure, which probably
That's the gayest song ever.
Wasn't the best choice because I got booted at the first show. But they wanted me to do "Born to Be Wild." And I said, I'll do "Born to Be Wild" if I get to do this first. Mm-hmm. That was probably my mistake.
So do you have a thing where, and I'll try not to project too much, but if something scares me, I go, oh, now I got to do it. Because I thought, oh, boy, that sounds,
right.
You want to do Masked Singer? Oh, that sounds uncomfortable or possibly scary.
Yeah.
I may be judged. Do you, or a trick on a skateboard or whatever the business thing is? Like, do you have a thing where if you have a fear, not being drowned, but I just mean like a fear, like, then you.
Yeah, I want to try. I want to try to overcome it. Yes.
Why
yes,
did that strike me?
Yeah, I do definitely, and I did in those instances. But for instance, I also got offered to do Dancing with the Stars, and I don't dance. I don't think I can dance. I don't pretend to dance, and I don't want to learn how to dance for that.
I did Dancing with the Stars with all the prerequisites you just said, but the last one was fear. Like I haven't been in a position where I've really felt fear in a while.
Yeah.
And I kind of grew up rough and tumble, and I work construction. I box a little bit, and I hung around with a bunch of mooks and stuff. I didn't, fear wasn't, it was sort of a luxury that I couldn't really afford it. I rode a motorcycle and stuff, but when I heard Dancing with the Stars coming out of my agent's mouth, I was like, oh, I'm scared. I felt it. Like I felt
I'm
fear.
scared, so I have to do it.
And then I was like, I cannot dance at all, and I have no experience with this whatsoever. And I didn't know if there was money involved. I still don't know if there was no compensation, or there was, but I didn't care.
Yeah.
I felt a thing like go down my spine, like I was in junior high and Johnny Finnegan wanted to meet me at the handball courts to fight, and I was like, I had this, oh, I'm scared. And I remember like I didn't go, oh, it's fucking lame, dude. Get that shit out of my face. I was like, oh, I didn't even know what it was. I mean, I knew what it was, but the one thing I knew I was scared. Yeah. I knew, and I also knew I couldn't dance, and that made me more scared.
So what was the takeaway afterwards?
It was a, being in an arena with like, lots of lights and sounds and 20 million people watching, all that kind of stuff. It's nerve-wracking enough when you're good at something.
Yeah,
like
right.
I'm good at stand-up, and I would still have. I mean, I'm good, but if I was presenting at the Oscars, I'd have some thoughts, some fears. But when you're bad at it, and you're going to drop in on that ramp, and you don't know how to fucking skateboard, and 20 million people are watching you, it does take it ratchets up the fear. It does. And so what it was is I was like, this is one of the most biggest, interesting experiences I'm ever going to have, because I am bad at it. Mm-hmm. And it changed it. But it was meaningful to me in a super, sort of superficial, it sounds so superficial, but it was more kind of spiritual.
Yeah, but that you pushed through and you just went for it.
Yeah.
I just don't, I can't imagine anything that would incentivize me to do that. Well, I mean, in terms of dance, I just know I'm knowing about it. I don't think I'm going to get any better at it. My body moves weirdly. It's kind of suited more for skateboarding now than anything.
You got that cracked pelvis.
Yeah,
too.
that too. Yeah.
No, it's the whole. I'm all elbows and knees and 6'2", and I don't have an ounce of rhythm in me. And I'm right with you, except for the fear was so compelling.
That's pretty cool. I like it.
That I was like,
yeah,
gotta do it. Way too scary not to try. I would have. Somebody asked me if I wanted to do a professional Trans Am race, and I was like, oh yeah. I wasn't scared at all. I was like, that sounds fun. A little hairy, but fun.
That's how I felt when I got invited to the Grand Prix when we did it.
Right. Sounds like fun, but
yeah, we could drive as fast as we want. Yes,
on the streets of Long Beach.
Yeah,
yeah. So who was in that car? It was Christian
Slater, Adrian Brody.
Keanu Reeves was in that class.
Keanu Reeves was in the pro division because he had done so well the prior year.
Yeah.
There were a few more.
I'm seeing Anthony Anderson, Brian Austin Green.
Brian Austin Green won.
Yeah, he won.
Jesse McCartney.
Jesse McCartney got head-on slammed hard. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He got spun around, and then someone came full speed at him, and he had like these marks and bruises from the seatbelt.
But Tony came down with his souped-up Jeep Cherokee, and we went out for barbecue food. And I was like, this is a
In Palmdale.
This is. Oh, we were in Palmdale?
Yeah.
I was trying to figure that one out because I was picturing us in Long Beach, but it was in Palmdale. I thought we were in Long Beach.
Maybe it was.
I think it was the night before.
Oh, I think you're right. Yeah, it was the night before in Long
We're
Beach.
all down there.
You're right. Yep.
Because I don't know where the hell we would have found a barbecue joint in Palmdale.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing there. That's where the practice track was.
Right.
But so for you, does the rod in the leg come out, or
It doesn't. I don't think it comes out. No.
It just stays.
I believe so. Yeah.
You should have asked.
I don't know. It doesn't. I mean, I don't plan to get it out.
Oh, because sometimes they'll put a bunch of screws and a plate in, and then sometimes they remove the screws and the plate.
I have 4 screws in my elbow. I broke my elbow in '98, and they still kind of raise up on the skin, and there's no reason to take them out. For me.
How's airport security going to work?
It's titanium.
Oh, that doesn't.
Right? I don't know.
It's metallic. I mean, I guess. I think you're going to get.
Yeah, but we're so old. All we're thinking is X-ray machines.
I know.
Like or the metal detectors. Like you get to stand in that thing. And
they're going to see it. Yeah. Oh, Tony.
They're going to think I'm packing something.
Botched circumcision and a titanium rod. Interesting. Keep that one for the files. So, where are you in Carlsbad now?
Encinitas. Yeah.
Encinitas.
Mm-hmm. Just south of Carlsbad.
Oh, I thought Encinitas was in Mexico. I'm making that up. Oh, that's Ensenada.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah, that's close. We can't name everything after shit that's on their side of the border and expect them not to want to head down, right? You're in Ensenada, and yes. By no means can you go to Encinitas. Like, why not? Sounds like the same shit to me. We got to give it names like Hanksville or something.
Just Springfield. Everywhere Springfield.
Springfield. So life's good?
Oh, yeah. It's amazing. I can't complain. I mean, I can complain about the pain in my leg, but I've never been happier. And I've got...
Why have you never been happier?
I think I just have a better clarity, and I have a better connection with my kids. Mm-hmm. I have an incredible relationship with my wife. Our bond is so strong and keeps getting stronger. And we're in our 50s. We're madly in love, and it's just it's awesome. And I still get to live my dream. Like, it's crazy. I still, I know I'm hurt, but I still get to ride my skateboard for a living. It's just absurd.
Well, the event is coming up, and and people buy tickets. They go to the website. More tickets and info at TonyHawk.com. That'll be May 12th through the 15th.
Yeah, 12th through 15th. Just to add to that, headliners are Devo, Modest Mouse, and The Descendants.
Wow. Pulling up some big names for this event. And the documentary, which I'm going to watch the shit out of.
That's Sam Jones. If you know Sam Jones, photographer, he did the Wilco doc.
Oh, right.
He used to do the show off camera. So he made a documentary about my career. It's not my documentary. It's, it's more his version of it, and I'm proud of it. But I kind of let it all hang out there.
That'll be April 5th on HBO. Well, we'll be watching, Tony. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
Always love getting caught up with you. So hold on. It's just I'm always interested in the human mind, because I was like, we went out to barbecue that night, but I can't remember who else was in the car. And then when you rattled off all the names, I remember, I'm a car guy. I remember you pulled around in your Jeep with the Viper engine in it. And in my mind, we were pulling out of the Long Beach hotel, like going.
That sounds right. I think you're right. Yeah.
So I was really impressed. I was like, Tony knows everyone who was in the car. I kind of remember Keanu Reeves was in the car, but I can't remember who else was in the car. But then your mind failed you because you had us out at Willow Springs.
I just remember going out to, I went to In-N-Out with Adrian Brody in my car. So I have those two moments in my mind a little mixed up.
That was out in the high desert.
That was in the high desert, yeah.
All right. Well, now we can all sleep at night. I'm going to be in Indianapolis at Helium Comedy Club May 6th and 7th, and Huntington Beach. We're doing a live pod there at Sea Legs at May 20th, and you can go to AdamCarolla.com for all the live shows. Until next time, it's Adam Carolla for Vinnie Tortorich, Gina Gradenball, Bryan, and Tony Hawk saying mahalo.
I'm Bobby Hollander, and I'd like to introduce you to a new tape. Are you looking to spank it when you're by yourself? Well, you're going to get an opportunity with the personal touch. Oh my God, is this thing hot? It's like a war zone in Ukraine. It's that hot.
Yeah, let me jump in.